It's an honor, obviously, sharing the floor with these Minnesota guys and competing against the great Wisconsin guys. It's great to be able to play with them after battling with them all year, and also when I was younger, my grandpa coached in this. My dad and my grandpa coached, and just having memories of that in the past and being able to play in it now is great.
There was a mini McDonald family reunion at Romano Gymnasium on the campus of the University of Minnesota Duluth as Hibbing senior Ayden McDonald suited up with Team Minnesota for the 2022 border battle. On the opposite side, his uncle, Paul McDonald, coached Team Wisconsin. And in the stands were Ayden's parents, Joel and Carrie, and his sister Abby. Minnesota would get the win, and for Ayden, there was excitement for just getting to play, as the border battle came a week and a half after a thriller on a court about 3 miles away, where the Blue Jackets just missed making their second straight state tournaments, falling to Hermantown at Duluth East in the section title game, and bringing Ayden's high school career to a close.
Throughout COVID, kind of missed that aspect, but just great crowd, great atmosphere. Our student section was great, a lot of support from them and parents as well. And Hermantown had a great student section. And obviously we battled, lost by 1. It was definitely great to be a part of that atmosphere and battle with my guys and give credit to Hermantown. We finished with 19 wins. A lot of new guys this year, but they really came ready to play. They obviously grew up kind of behind last year's group, and they worked hard in practice, and they're all my friends, and it was great playing with them and competing with them.
There are some folks that are saying you're the best player to come through Hibbing since another very famous person. How does it feel to be mentioned even in the same sentence?
It's an honor just because of who Kevin McHale is, and obviously comparing eras is always hard, but when we were growing up, we all had people that we could watch, and I went to a ton of games with my dad coaching.
He's a kid who has very high expectations of himself, and that doesn't change on any given day in the gym. When the season came to an end, I finally finalized all of his statistical totals because this Matt Peterson down in Starbuck, who has this basketball history collection, sent him everything that kind of made his lists that he had on his website, and he said, I just want you to know that if you factor in players that have scored 2,000 points, had more than 1,000 assists, more than 600 rebounds, more than 500 steals, and were career 80% or better from the free throw line, Ayden is the only person in the history of the state to hit all of those. But when you factor that in and just see what's the sign of the work that he put in, a lot of it is that.
It's an honor to be with those group of guys, and also a tribute to the great teammates that I grew up playing with and finished this year with, and a lot of hard work, but great teammates along the way too.
To use a little bit of a Ricky Rubio quote, if you make a basket, one person gets excited or happy about it, but if you get the assist, then you've got 2 people that are happy about the outcome of that play, and I think that truly has defined what Ayden is a little bit. In hindsight, if you look at what he was able to do and find comfort in playing with older guys when he was young. 7th grade is when he first kind of got moved up to the varsity and JV practices, and then 8th grade he got moved into the starting lineup. I think a big part of that was the fact that he was so unselfish, and guys just like playing with him. Even though he's a passer at his core, he still expects to make every shot.
Basketball sure seems to be in the blood of the McDonald family, with multiple generations involved in the game. It started with Ayden's grandpa, Bob McDonald, whose legendary coaching career included over 1,000 wins and guiding Chisholm to 3 state championships. All of Bob's children would get into coaching. Some grandchildren did too.
I don't think it was any added pressure. I mean, I think some people when I was younger kind of thought I was handed things because of my last name, but just trying to work to show people that I deserve to be where I'm at. But each generation helped me along the way. My uncles, my dad, my mom, and my sister I grew up watching a lot. She's kind of my idol growing up, watching her, but just growing up and wanting to be like them, wanting to be like my uncles, my dad, my cousins. They gave me someone to want to be like. It was great to get state last year. A goal we had growing up as a group of last year seniors and this year seniors was getting to state, because we hadn't done that since 1989, and just working towards that every day, going to battle at practice and practicing and being coached by my dad. It was just wanting to get him there too as a coach, especially with all that he went through with his health concerns as well. My 10th grade fall, he was diagnosed with bladder cancer. We were practicing at the time, and he would go down to the Rochester Mayo, come back, coach.
How he maneuvered that, playing for me and keeping his focus and knowing what priorities were, and also keeping it together as a teammate and as a player on the floor, facing a lot of the challenges that he had due to the attention that he had from a lot of defenses or what have you. I think he had a lot of reasons to just get distracted and get frustrated and get angry at the world, and he was able to avoid all of that. And I think, if there's anything that's more of a sign of his level of maturity over the years, it was that stretch.
Just to see his fight through that, and it really gave me something to strive for when I'm older and go through adversity. It came back another time, then he had surgery and he goes up for 3-month checkups, and he's had a lot of support from everybody. When it initially happened, a ton of people reached out, but he's doing better now, and that's great.
In another off-court challenge for Ayden and his family, in October of 2020, Grandpa Bob passed away.
My dad had a lot to do with raising Abby and Ayden, both from a basketball perspective, because every single time they would visit, he would have them shoot a jump shot with no ball, and every one of his grandchildren would say the same thing. If I was able to somehow instill some of the things into both of my kids that my dad was able to instill in the 6 of us as his children, I consider that a victory. And they had some special times together, the 3 of them. Whether it was times in the gym or times just visiting or times on trips to Croatia or whatever it was, we had some great times as a family.
I'm working to get Croatian citizenship because eventually after college my goal is to play in Croatia, where we visited there. My grandpa has family there, or we have family there.
Would that be dual or would it be?
Yeah, dual.
Before potentially playing overseas, Ayden will play college hoops at Augustana. Between now and when he heads to the next level, he's been finding enjoyment in giving an audio level.
Everybody, welcome back to episode 17 of Anchor Down.
Ayden does a podcast, and he's done a podcast at Hibbing High School through our career academies, and he's got his 2 buddies that he's in the podcast, Harrison Law and Callan Menard.
How's you guys' economic study guide going? 92 question study guide.
Not bad.
What question you on?
1.
When we were down at the state tournament last week, Ayden was obviously not in the podcast, but I listened to it, and the 2 guys kind of started to talk about the end of our basketball season.
Ayden's the basketball guy, he's not really here.
And then they got to talking about Ayden, and to me it was really special because they started talking about how, as ridiculous as his statistics are, you would never know it by talking to him because he wouldn't tell you.
He doesn't love to brag about his stats or even talk about his stats.
It was really neat to hear that, he doesn't talk about this stuff. He wants to be a friend and a teammate and a son and a brother, and all of those things before the basketball thing becomes the important part of life.
Obviously COVID kind of threw a wrench into things, but there's bigger things in life than basketball, and it was great to be back in the atmosphere this year.
He's turned into a solid young man that has been raised by a number of people, both within the McDonald clan and outside the McDonald clan, and it would be ridiculous to say that we're not incredibly proud of him.
I love the Hibbing basketball community, the Hibbing community. I just wanted to thank my great coaches and teammates and family and all the support, and thank you guys for the honor.
Reporting for the Duluth News Tribune, I'm Dan Williamson.